I never believed in ghosts. Not until I took the night security job at Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital. My name is Marcus Chen, and what I'm about to tell you actually happened to me 3 years ago. I haven't slept properly since. The hospital closed in 1987 after a scandal I didn't know about when I applied. I just needed the money. It was December 2021, and I'd been out of work for 6 months. The job posting was simple: overnight security guard, solo shift, good pay. No one mentioned why the pay was so good, or why they couldn't keep anyone in the position for more than a week. My first night was a Tuesday. The property manager, an older woman named Mrs. Hendricks, met me at the gates at 9 p.m. The building loomed in front of us, 5 stories of Victorian architecture that looked like it was rotting from the inside out. Most windows were boarded up. Some weren't. Those empty black rectangles seemed to watch us. "You'll do rounds every hour," Mrs. Hendricks said, handing me a heavy flashlight and a set of keys. "Start at the basement, work your way up. Lock every door behind you." She paused. "And Marcus? Whatever you hear, whatever you think you see, just finish your rounds. Don't investigate. Don't deviate from the route." I should have asked what she meant. Instead, I nodded like an idiot. She left me at the main entrance with a clipboard, a two-way radio that crackled with static, and a thermos of coffee. The door slammed shut behind her, and the sound echoed through the empty lobby. Blackwood had been a state psychiatric hospital for nearly a century. The lobby still had patient artwork on the walls, faded paintings of flowers and houses. But someone had scratched out all the faces. Every single one. My footsteps echoed on the cracked tile as I walked to the security office. It was a small room near the front entrance with a desk, a chair, and 6 monitors showing different parts of the building. 4 of the monitors displayed nothing but static. The other 2 showed the main hallway on the 2nd floor and what looked like a recreation room on the 3rd. The 2nd floor camera caught something that made my skin prickle. For just a second, just one frame, there was a shadow in the hallway. Human-shaped. Then it was gone. I told myself it was a glitch. Old equipment. The hospital had been closed for decades. The cameras were probably from the 80s. I checked the time, 9:47 p.m. My first rounds were at 10. I spent the next 13 minutes reading the building history I'd found online before my shift. Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital opened in 1892. For most of its existence, it was just another overcrowded, underfunded mental health facility. But in 1983, something changed. A doctor named Jonathan Voss joined the staff. He specialized in experimental treatments for severe psychiatric conditions. In 1986, a nurse reported him for patient abuse. Before the investigation concluded, Voss and 12 patients disappeared. They found Voss 3 days later in the basement. He'd hanged himself in what used to be the hydrotherapy room. They never found the 12 patients. The hospital closed 6 months later. The state sealed all the records. My radio crackled. Nothing but static, but it made me jump. I glanced at the monitors. The 2nd floor hallway was empty. The recreation room hadn't changed. I grabbed my flashlight and the keys. Time for the first round. The basement was where I had to start. Mrs. Hendricks had been very clear about that. The basement door was at the end of a hallway behind the security office. It was metal, painted institutional green, and it had 5 different locks. I had to use all 5 keys to open it. When I pulled the door open, cold air rushed out. It smelled like mold and something else. Something sweet and rotten underneath. The stairs descended into absolute darkness. My flashlight beam seemed weaker down there, like the dark was thicker somehow. I counted 23 steps before I reached the bottom. The basement was a maze of corridors lined with rooms. Some doors stood open. Others were sealed with metal bars bolted across them. My instructions said to check each main corridor, note any changes, and move on. Don't enter the rooms. Don't touch anything. The first corridor smelled like chemicals. Cleaning supplies, maybe. Or formaldehyde. The 2nd corridor had water damage. My boots splashed through puddles that reflected my flashlight beam. The 3rd corridor was where things started feeling wrong. It was colder than the others. My breath misted in front of me. And there was a sound. Soft. Rhythmic. Like someone breathing heavily. I stopped walking. Listened. The breathing continued. It was coming from behind one of the sealed doors. I moved closer, telling myself it was just pipes. Old buildings make noise. The door had a small window at eye level. The glass was so grimy I could barely see through it. I raised my flashlight. The room beyond was empty. Just a bare concrete floor and walls covered in something dark. The breathing stopped. Then a hand slammed against the window from inside. I stumbled backward, my flashlight clattering to the floor. The bulb flickered but stayed on. When I looked back at the window, there was nothing there. Just that grimy glass and the dark room beyond. My heart hammered in my chest. I grabbed my flashlight and ran. I didn't stop until I was back at the stairs. The metal door slammed shut behind me and I locked all 5 locks with shaking hands. I checked my watch. 10:34 p.m. I'd been in the basement for 27 minutes. It felt like hours. My radio crackled again. This time I heard something underneath the static. A voice. Distant. Saying words I couldn't quite make out. I tried to respond. "Hello? This is security. Can you repeat that?" Only static answered. I was still shaking. I needed to call Mrs. Hendricks, tell her I quit, get the hell out of there. But I needed this job. And what would I even say? That I heard breathing and saw a hand that disappeared? She'd think I was crazy. I decided to continue the rounds. Maybe the upper floors would be better. The first floor was administrative offices. I walked through typing pools with ancient computers still on the desks, filing rooms with papers scattered across the floor, and a cafeteria with tables bolted to the ground. Everything was normal. Disturbing in that abandoned building way, but normal. No hands. No breathing. The second floor was patient wards. Long hallways lined with rooms. Most doors stood open. I could see metal bed frames bolted to the floors, toilets without seats, tiny windows with bars. I moved quickly, checking each corridor, marking my clipboard. Room 217 had scratch marks on the inside of the door. Deep gouges in the wood. Someone had carved words, "Let me out, let me out, let me out," over and over, covering every inch. My radio crackled. That voice again. Clearer this time. It said, "Third floor." Just that. Third floor. Everything was normal. Disturbing in that abandoned building way, but normal. No hands. No breathing. The second floor was patient wards. Long hallways lined with rooms. Most doors stood open. I could see metal bed frames bolted to the floors, toilets without seats, tiny windows with bars. I moved quickly, checking each corridor, marking my clipboard. Room 217 had scratch marks on the inside of the door. Deep gouges in the wood. Someone had carved words, "Let me out, let me out, let me out," over and over, covering every inch. My radio crackled. That voice again. Clearer this time. It said, "Third floor." Just that. Third floor. I pressed the talk button. "Who is this? Identify yourself." Static. Then, "Third floor. Room 342." I should have left. Every instinct screamed at me to walk out the front door and never come back. But something made me climb the stairs to the third floor. The third floor was different. The air felt heavier. Thicker. My flashlight beam didn't reach as far. And it was silent. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. The recreation room was at the end of the main corridor. I could see it on my map. But room 342 was in the opposite direction, in the secure ward. That's where they kept the violent patients. I stood at the intersection of 2 corridors. To my left, the recreation room. Safe. Part of my assigned route. To my right, the secure ward. Not on my route. But that voice had been so specific. Room 342. Against every bit of common sense I had, I turned right. The secure ward doors were heavy steel with small windows. The first few rooms were empty. Room 338, empty bed, broken mirror. Room 339, empty. Room 340, the door was sealed with metal bars. Through the window I could see the walls were padded. Stained brown with something I didn't want to identify. Room 341, empty. Room 342 was at the end of the hallway. The door stood open. I stopped 10 feet away. My flashlight illuminated a room that looked different from the others. The walls weren't padded or plain concrete. They were covered in writing. Thousands of words in different handwriting, different colors. Some looked like they'd been written with pen. Others with chalk. Some with what might have been blood. I stepped closer, trying to read the writing. It was names. Hundreds of names. Some I recognized. Historical figures. Celebrity names. But most were ordinary: John Smith, Mary Chen, Robert Williams, Sarah Jones. One name appeared more than others. In the center of the far wall, written larger than the rest, Jonathan Voss. Below his name was a door. Not the main door I'd entered through. This was set into the wall. Small. Maybe 4 feet tall. Like a door for a child. It was painted red. The only color in the entire room. There was no handle. No visible hinges. Just a red door painted on door set into the wall. I moved closer. The writing around the door was different. Not names. Instructions, do not open. Repeated over and over in dozens of different hands. As I stared at the door, my radio crackled again. The voice was clear now. Right next to my ear even though the radio was on my belt. They're still here. All 12. Behind the door. I spun around. The hallway was empty. But I could hear something now. From behind that red door. Scratching. Like fingernails on wood. Dozens of them. Scratching and scratching. I backed toward the main door. The scratching grew louder. More insistent. Then I heard voices. Whispering. Pleading. Let us out. Please. It hurts. It's so dark. Let us out. I ran. Down the hallway, down the stairs, through the second floor, down more stairs. I didn't stop until I was back in the security office with the door locked behind me. My watch said 11:47 p.m. I'd been in room 342 for 4 minutes. It felt like an eternity. I tried to calm down. It was just an old building. The sounds were pipes, wind, my imagination. The voice on the radio was probably interference from a nearby frequency. Security guards probably carry pranks too far in these places. I made coffee with shaking hands and stared at the monitors. The second floor hallway was empty. The recreation room was empty. Everything was fine. I just had to make it until 6 a.m. Then I'd collect my pay and never come back. At midnight, I had to do another round. The basement. God help me, I had to go back to the basement. This time I checked every corridor quickly, not stopping, not listening. I was almost done when I reached the fourth corridor. The one I'd missed on my first round. This corridor was different. The doors weren't sealed. They were all open. Wide open. And from each room, I could hear that heavy breathing. All of them. Breathing in unison. In. Out. In. Out. I backed away slowly. The breathing changed. Became faster. Excited. Like something knew I was there. I turned to run and the lights went out. Every single light in the basement died at once, plunging me into absolute darkness. My flashlight was the only source of light. I ran toward the stairs, the beam bouncing wildly. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Bare feet slapping against wet concrete. More than one set. They were chasing me. I hit the stairs and climbed. My legs burned. I could hear them behind me. Close. So close I could hear their breathing. That heavy, rhythmic breathing. I reached the door and fumbled with the keys. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped them. They clattered to the concrete. The footsteps stopped. I could feel something behind me. I grabbed the keys and jammed one into the first lock. It turned. Second lock. Third. Fourth. The breathing was right behind my neck. Cold breath. Smelling of rot. Fifth lock. The door flew open and I threw myself through it, slamming it shut behind me. I locked all 5 locks. Something hit the other side of the door. Hard. Then again. And again. The metal door shook with each impact. I heard voices screaming from the other side. The same words over and over, let us out. Let us out. Let us out. I ran to the security office. The monitors had changed. All 6 were working now. And all 6 showed the same thing, the basement stairs. Standing at the bottom, staring up at the camera, were 12 figures. They looked human. But wrong. Too tall. Too thin. Skin stretched tight over bone. And their eyes. Even on the grainy black and white feed, I could see their eyes were completely black. No whites. Just black. They stood perfectly still. Staring at the camera. At me. My radio crackled. All 12 of them spoke through it at once, their voices overlapping. We've been waiting. Voss promised he'd let us out. He lied. But you can help us. You can open the door. I threw the radio across the room. It shattered against the wall but I could still hear them. Coming from everywhere. The walls. The ceiling. My own head. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door. I grabbed my personal phone. No signal. Of course there was no signal. I checked the time, 12:47 a.m. 5 more hours. I couldn't do this for 5 more hours. The building began to shake. Not an earthquake. This was different. It felt like the entire structure was breathing. The walls expanded and contracted. In. Out. In. Out. The same rhythm as that breathing in the basement. Through the windows, I could see the other buildings on the property. A maintenance shed. An old powerhouse. They were shaking too. Everything was breathing. On the monitors, the 12 figures had moved. They were no longer in the basement. They were in the first-floor hallway, standing outside the security office. I couldn't see them through the door's small window, but I could hear them scratching at the wood, trying to get in. I pushed the desk against the door. It wouldn't hold them if they really wanted in, but it made me feel safer. I tried to think rationally. What did I actually know? A doctor named Voss had worked here. He'd done experiments. 12 patients disappeared. Voss killed himself in the basement. The patients were never found. But they're dead. They have to be dead. This was all in my head. Stress. Fear. The power of suggestion in a creepy abandoned building. Except the scratching was real. The voices were real. The 12 figures on the monitors were real. One of them looked up at the camera. Its mouth opened impossibly wide. And it smiled. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then died completely. My flashlight was still in my hand. I turned it on. The beam was dimmer than before, like the batteries were dying. I'd put fresh batteries in at the start of my shift. Through the window in the door, I saw movement. Shadows flowing past. The scratching stopped. The building stopped breathing. Everything was silent. Then I heard footsteps. Coming up the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. They reached the top of the stairs. The hallway. They stopped outside the security office door. A soft knock. 3 taps. Polite. Almost gentle. A woman's voice spoke. "Security guard? We need your help. Please open the door." The voice sounded normal. Human. Scared. "Please. We've been trapped here for so long. Dr. Voss locked us in the basement. We just want to leave. We just want to go home." I didn't respond. Didn't move. "I know you're scared. But we won't hurt you. We just need someone to open the red door. From the outside. We can't open it ourselves. Red door. Room 342. Once you open the door, we can leave. We'll finally be free. And you'll never see us again. Please. We've been in the dark for 37 years. I found my voice. You're not people anymore. Whatever Voss did to you. You're something else now." Silence. Then all 12 voices spoke at once, no longer pretending to be human. "We are what he made us. What he needed. Vessels for his work. He said he could cure us. He said he could make us better. He lied. He made us into this. And then he trapped us behind that door. With his experiments. With what he'd done. We are not evil. We are suffering. Let us out." I backed away from the door. "I can't. I won't." The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. Frost formed on the windows. "Then you'll take his place. You'll be the 13th. The door needs a guardian. Voss was the guardian. When he died, the door needed someone else. That's why the security guards never stay. They feel it. The pull. The door calling to them. You felt it tonight. That's why you went to room 342. The door wanted to meet you." My blood ran cold. They were right. I had felt pulled to that room. Like something was calling me. Every night you work here, the pull will get stronger. Eventually, you won't be able to resist. You'll go to the door. You'll touch it. And you'll become part of it. Part of the seal keeping us locked inside. I looked at the monitors. The 12 figures stood in the hallway, facing the security office door. Waiting. "Unless you open the door. Let us out. Then you're free." I checked my phone. 2:17 a.m. Less than 4 hours until sunrise. Until I could leave. "What happens if you get out?" I asked. Silence. Then one voice, the woman from before, "We go home. We've been gone so long. Our families must think we're dead. We just want to see them again." Another voice, a man, "We just want to feel the sun. To breathe fresh air. To be free." They sounded so human. So desperate. So sad. But I'd seen them on the monitors. Whatever they were now, they weren't just 12 missing patients. What was Voss doing to you? What were his experiments? The voices went quiet. When they spoke again, it was all 12 at once. I checked my phone. 2:17 a.m. Less than 4 hours until sunrise. Until I could leave. "What happens if you get out?" I asked. Silence. Then one voice, the woman from before, "We go home. We've been gone so long. Our families must think we're dead. We just want to see them again." Another voice, a man, "We just want to feel the sun. To breathe fresh air. To be free." They sounded so human. So desperate. So sad. But I'd seen them on the monitors. Whatever they were now, they weren't just 12 missing patients. What was Voss doing to you? What were his experiments? The voices went quiet. When they spoke again, it was all 12 that he was trying to cure death. That's what he told us. He said consciousness continues after the body dies. He said he could prove it. He said he could bring people back. He started with animals. Mice. Cats. Dogs. They came back wrong. Aggressive. Wrong. But they came back. So he moved to human subjects. Us. The 12 of us. We were his volunteers. He promised to cure our conditions. Depression. Schizophrenia. Bipolar disorder. We trusted him. I felt sick. What did he do? He killed us. One by one. Carefully. Clinically. He'd kill us and then try to bring us back. Most of the time, we stayed dead. But sometimes, we came back. Different. Changed. Once. He kept trying. Different methods. Different drugs. Eventually, he found a way to bring all 12 of us back at once. But we weren't human anymore. We were something in between. Not alive. Not dead. Trapped. And we were so hungry. So angry. We turned on him. We wanted to make him like us. Make him understand what he'd done. But he locked us behind that red door. The door he'd painted with his own blood. A seal. A barrier. We've been trapped ever since. Unable to leave. Unable to die. Just existing in the dark. And we are so very hungry. The monitors showed the 12 figures moving closer to the camera. Their faces pressed against the lens. Black eyes staring. If you let us out, we'll hunt. We'll feed. We'll make more like us. We'll spread across the world like a plague. We can't help it. That's what Voss made us. Predators. Parasites. Hungry things that look human but aren't. We've been trapped for 37 years. We won't stop. We can't stop. So no, security guard. Don't open the door. Because if you do, we'll start with you. We'll make you like us. And then you'll help us hunt the others. I couldn't breathe. They'd been trying to trick me. Manipulating me. If I'd opened that door, the desk blocking the security office door exploded inward. Splinters flew through the air. The 12 figures stood in the doorway. This close, I could see what Voss had done to them. Their bodies were stitched together wrong. Extra limbs. Mouths in the wrong places. Eyes that didn't blink. They'd been taken apart and put back together. Over and over. Until they were barely recognizable as human. The woman who'd spoken first stepped forward. Half her face was missing, revealing bone and muscle underneath. We can't leave the hospital grounds. The seal Voss created is too strong. But we can move through the building. And we're so hungry. We haven't fed in 37 years. They moved toward me as one. I grabbed my flashlight and ran. Through the broken doorway, down the hallway. They followed. I could hear their footsteps. Too many footsteps. More than 12. My flashlight beam caught something at the end of the hallway. A figure. Tall. Wearing a white doctor's coat. Dr. Voss. He raised one hand, beckoning me forward. Behind me, the 12 things that used to be patients were getting closer. Ahead of me, Voss waited. I had nowhere to go. I turned and ran up the stairs to the second floor. The patient ward. Maybe I could hide in one of the rooms. Lock the door. Wait until sunrise. I ran into the first open room and slammed the door. There was no lock. I pushed the metal bed frame against it. Then I heard breathing. In the room with me. I turned. A figure sat on the floor in the corner. Small. Child-sized. It looked up at me. A boy. Maybe 8 years old. Except his eyes were black like the others. "Are you here to help us?" he asked. His voice was wrong. Too deep. Like multiple people speaking at once. I'm not one of the 12. I was Voss's first success. Before he got better at it. I've been alone for so long. The others won't play with me. They say I'm broken. He stood. He was taller than I'd thought. His proportions were all wrong. Voss kept me secret. I was his proof of concept. But I came back wrong. Wronger than the others. I can't hold my shape. I keep forgetting what I'm supposed to look like. As I watched, his form shifted. Grew taller. Then shorter. His limbs elongated and contracted. His face melted and reformed. "Will you play with me? I've been alone for so long." The door burst open. The 12 figures poured in. They stopped when they saw the boy thing. 13, they said in unison. "We told you to stay in your room." "But I'm only," the boy thing whined. "And he looks fun." They ignored him and turned to me. "You can't escape. We're everywhere in this building. On every floor. In every room. You can run, but you'll just get tired. And when you collapse, we'll be waiting." The woman with half a face tilted her head. "Unless you want to make a deal. Open the door. Let us out. And we'll give you something in return. We'll make it so you never have to be afraid again. We'll make you like us. Strong. Unkillable. Free from pain and fear and death." I shook my head. "I'll die before I let you out," they laughed. All 13 of them. "That can be arranged." They moved toward me as one. I dove through the window. The glass shattered around me. I was on the second floor. The fall would hurt but it wouldn't kill me. I hit the ground hard. My ankle twisted. Pain shot up my leg. I forced myself to stand. The front gates were across the property. Maybe 200 yards. I could make it. I started running. Limping. Every step sent agony through my ankle but I didn't stop. Behind me, I heard windows breaking. They were coming out of the building. Following. I looked back. All 13 were climbing out of the windows. Moving in ways humans shouldn't move. Like spiders. I pushed myself harder. The gates were ahead. I could see my car parked outside. So close. I reached the gates. They were locked. The chain and padlock I'd used to secure them when I arrived. My keys were still in the security office. I'd never get back there. Never make it past them. I looked back. The 13 figures had stopped. They stood in a line 20 feet away, just watching me. The woman spoke. "The gates are the boundary. We can't leave the grounds. Voss's seal is absolute. But you need your keys. And they're inside. You have 3 choices. Stay out here and freeze. Go back inside for your keys. Or climb the fence." The fence was 12 feet tall. Topped with barbed wire. With my injured ankle, I'd never make it over. "We can wait," she said. "We're very patient. We've been waiting for 37 years. We can wait until you collapse from hypothermia. Then we'll drag you back inside. To room 342. To the red door. And you'll take Voss's place as guardian. Forever." I looked at the fence. At the building. At them. The sky was starting to lighten. Dawn was coming. Maybe an hour away. If I could just survive one more hour. I started climbing. My injured ankle screamed with every movement. I made it halfway up before my strength gave out. I hung there, clinging to the chain link, unable to move up or down. Below me, the 13 watched. "Come down," the woman said softly. "You're hurt. You're cold. Come inside where it's warm. We'll take care of you." I looked up. The barbed wire was 5 feet above me. I couldn't reach it. My arms shook. My grip was failing. I was going to fall. A voice spoke from behind the 13 figures. "Let him go." Dr. Voss stepped out of the shadows. The 13 turned to face him. "You can't stop us," they said. "You're dead. You're a ghost. You have no power here." Voss smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I created you. I know exactly what you are. And I know how to send you back." He raised his hands. The air around him shimmered. The 13 screamed. All at once. A sound like metal tearing. They collapsed to the ground, writhing. Voss walked toward me. "Climb down, Mr. Chen. You're safe now." For the moment. I half fell down the fence. Voss stood between me and the 13 figures. Up close, I could see he wasn't really there. I could see through him. A ghost. A memory. An echo of something that used to be alive. "I've been trapped here just as they have," he said. "Unable to move on. Unable to leave. I deserve this. What I did was unforgivable. I played God and created monsters." The woman lifted her head. "We were people. We trusted you." "I know," Voss said quietly. "I'm sorry. I was trying to help. I was trying to cure death itself. I thought I could save lives. Instead, I ended yours and trapped myself in this hell." He turned back to me. "The door in room 342 is a seal. It keeps them contained in this building. As long as it remains closed, they can't truly hurt anyone. They can frighten. They can torment. But they can't kill. Not really. The seal prevents it." "Then why do you need a guardian?" I asked. "To prevent anyone from opening the door. From the outside, it's just painted wood. Anyone could open it. And if someone does, the seal breaks. They'll be free. Free to kill. Free to create more like them." That's why the security position exists. Mrs. Hendricks knows what happened here. She was a nurse. She helped me with the experiments. She's been trying to atone ever since. She hires guards to watch the building. To make sure no one opens the door. Most quit after one night. Some after a week. But as long as someone is watching, the door stays closed. I stared at him. "You're saying this will happen every night?" They'll try to manipulate me, scare me, hurt me? Yes, Voss said simply. Until you quit. Or until you break and open the door. Or until... He didn't finish. The 13 had risen to their feet. The woman spoke, or until the building is demolished. The city council approved demolition last month, she continued. In 6 weeks, they'll tear this place down. And when they do, the door will be destroyed. The seal will break. And we'll be free. Voss nodded slowly. She's right. I've been trying to stop it. I've caused accidents. Scared away workers. But I can't hold them off forever. In 6 weeks, this building comes down. And 13 unkillable predators will be released into the world. So what do? I asked. You have 6 weeks to find another way, Voss said. Research my work. Find out how I created the seal. Maybe you can find a way to make it permanent. To bind them here forever. Or find a way to end them. Truly end them. And if I can't? Then in 6 weeks, the world ends. Or at least, the world as you know it. The sky was getting lighter. The 13 were fading. Becoming translucent. Dawn, Voss said. They can't maintain physical form in daylight. They'll retreat to the basement. To the darkness. You're safe until tonight. He began to fade as well. Your keys are on the security office desk. The front door is unlocked. Get your things and go. But Mr. Chen? Come back tonight. Please. We need someone to watch the door. We need someone to try to stop what's coming. He disappeared. The 13 were gone. I was alone in the parking lot. Injured. Exhausted. Terrified. The sun broke over the horizon. I limped back to the building. The front door was open, just as Voss said. The security office was empty. My keys were on the desk. I grabbed them and left. I didn't look back. I drove straight home. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. The 13 things that used to be people. The boy creature that kept forgetting his shape. Voss, trapped by his own guilt. I spent the day researching. Old newspapers. Hospital records. Anything I could find about Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital and Dr. Jonathan Voss. Most of the files were sealed. But I found some things. Patient testimonies from before the disappearances. They talked about Voss's experiments. How he'd started small. Meditation techniques. Drug therapies. Then he moved to more extreme methods. Sensory deprivation. Induced comas. He was obsessed with the moment of death. The transition from life to nothing. He believed consciousness continued. That the soul, for lack of a better word, remained. And he wanted to prove it. The 12 patients who disappeared were all terminally ill. They'd volunteered for his experimental treatments. Desperate for a cure. Willing to try anything. Voss killed them. Brought them back. Killed them again. Each time, they came back a little less human. A little more wrong. The 13th patient, the boy, was named Thomas. He'd had leukemia. 7 years old. Voss had promised his parents he could save him. Instead, he turned Thomas into something that couldn't live or die. Something trapped between states. Unable to age. Unable to heal. Unable to end. I found mentions of the red door in one of Voss's journal entries. He'd painted it with his own blood mixed with something else. Ash from cremated bodies. Bone dust. Ingredients that made my stomach turn. The door was a seal. A ward. A prison. And it was weakening. At 8 p.m., my phone rang. Mrs. Hendricks. Mr. Chen. Will you be coming in tonight? I should have said no. I should have quit. Found another job. Moved to another city. But I thought about what would happen in 6 weeks when they tore down the building. 13 unkillable predators unleashed on an unsuspecting world. Starting with the demolition crew. Then spreading. Making more like them. An exponential nightmare. I'll be there, I said. But I need information. Everything you know about Voss's experiments. Everything about the seal. How to maintain it. How to strengthen it. Silence. Then, I'll have files waiting for you. In the security office. Everything I've collected over the years. And Mr. Chen? Thank you. For coming back. Most people don't. Night 2 was different. I arrived prepared. Flashlights with backup batteries. My phone fully charged. A first aid kit for my ankle. And a crucifix, even though I'm not religious. It couldn't hurt. Mrs. Hendricks met me at the gates. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. Haunted. The files are inside, she said. Everything I know. It's not much. Voss was careful. He destroyed most of his research before he died. She paused. They'll try harder tonight. Now that you know what they are. Now that you know the truth. They'll try to break you. Make you open the door. Don't listen to them. Don't believe anything they show you." I nodded. She left. I locked the gates behind her and headed inside. The security office was just as I'd left it. Except for a file box on the desk. Old manila folders filled with papers. I started reading. Voss's experiments had begun 5 years before the disappearances. He'd been working with near-death experiences. Patients who'd been revived after cardiac arrest. He interviewed hundreds. They all described similar experiences. A tunnel. A light. A feeling of peace. Voss believed the consciousness separated from the body at death. He wanted to prove it could be controlled. Directed. Preserved. He started with animals. The results were promising at first, but then the animals changed. Became aggressive. Started hunting in packs. Attacking living animals and each other. Voss realized he'd brought back something, but not what had left. The consciousness that returned was different. Altered. Wrong. But he didn't stop. He moved to human subjects. The 12 terminally ill patients. He told them he could cure them. Bring them back from the brink. They trusted him. My radio crackled. I'd brought a new one. The voice came through clearly, "You came back. We didn't think you would." All 13 voices speaking as one. I picked up the radio. "I'm not opening the door." Laughter. "We know. Tonight, we try something different." The monitors flickered. The basement feed showed the 13 figures standing in a circle. In the center of the circle was the boy, Thomas. They were doing something to him. The image was too grainy to see details. Then my vision blurred. I blinked. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the security office anymore. I was in room 342. Standing in front of the red door. I tried to move. Couldn't. This wasn't real. It was a vision. A hallucination. They were in my head somehow. The door began to open. Slowly. Revealing darkness beyond. And in that darkness, something moved. Something vast. Something that made the 13 seem small by comparison. A voice spoke from the darkness. Not the 13. Something else. Something ancient. "They are my children. My creations. Not Voss's." He merely opened the door and let me in. Let me touch the dying. Transform them. He thought he was bringing them back. But I was making them mine. I tried to speak. Couldn't. I am what waits beyond death. The true death. Not the peaceful rest your kind dreams of. I am the hunger that consumes. The void that waits. Voss didn't understand what he was doing. He thought he was preserving life. Instead, he created a bridge. Between your world and mine. The darkness began to seep out of the doorway. The 13 are merely vessels. Anchors. They hold the door open just a crack. Enough for my influence to seep through. To touch the dying. To change them. But if the door fully opens, I can cross over. Fully. Completely. And I am so very hungry. The darkness wrapped around me. Cold. Heavy. Suffocating. Open the door, little guardian. Let me through. I'll end your suffering. I'll end everyone's suffering. No more fear. No more pain. Just the quiet peace of being consumed. Of becoming nothing. I fought against the vision. This wasn't real. I was still in the security office. Still safe. The darkness tightened. Open. The door. I gasped and I was back. In the security office. My hands were on the desk. I'd been gripping it so hard my knuckles were wide. The monitors showed the 13 still standing in their circle. But Thomas was gone. I checked the time. 11:34 p.m. I'd been in that vision for over an hour. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You saw it. The thing Boss let in. We're not the real threat." "It is." I texted back, "Who is this?" "Thomas." I can still use phones sometimes. When I remember how. The thing in the darkness is what changed us. Voss thought he found a way to cure death. But he just opened a door to something worse. Another text. "The others don't remember being human anymore. But I do. Sometimes. When I can hold my shape long enough. I remember my mom. My dad. My room with the dinosaur posters. I was 7. I was dying. And then Boss said he could save me." I typed, "What is that thing? The entity in the darkness? It's what eats souls. What comes after death. Not for everyone. Just for some. The ones who are afraid. Who hold on too tight. It feeds on that fear. That desperation to not die." Voss gave it a doorway into the living world. And it's been getting stronger ever since. How do I stop it? I texted. The response took longer. "You can't. The seal keeps it contained. Barely, but the seal is weakening. Every year it gets thinner. In 6 weeks, when they demolish the building, the seal breaks completely. The entity crosses over. And it will consume everything. Everyone. Until your world is nothing but hunger and darkness. Then why are you telling me this? I typed. Because I'm tired. I've been a monster for so long. I can't die, but I can't really live either. I just exist. And I'm so tired. If you can find a way to strengthen the seal, to close the door forever, then maybe I can finally rest. Maybe we all can. Even the others, deep down, want it to end. My radio crackled. The other 12 voices, Thomas. Stop talking to him. He's trying to help us. Thomas's voice came through the radio. He might be able to stop it. Stop the thing that made us. We don't want to be stopped, the woman's voice said. We want to be free. We want to hunt. We want to feed. That's what we are now. That's what IT made us, Thomas shot back. We used to be people. Don't you remember? Sarah, you were a teacher. James, you were a musician. David, you had a daughter. Don't you remember your daughter? Silence. Then James's voice, alone, I remember. Sometimes. In the quiet moments. I remember my guitar. The sound it made. I can't make music anymore. Can't create anything. Can only destroy. Then help me, Thomas said. Help the Guardian. Help him find a way to end this. To end us. Don't you want peace? No, Sarah's voice. I want revenge. Voss took everything from us. Made us into monsters. Then trapped us in the dark. I want the world to suffer like we suffered. The voices erupted into argument. Some agreeing with Thomas. Others with Sarah. They were fighting among themselves. I seized the opportunity. I grabbed the files and started reading faster. There had to be something. Some clue about how to strengthen the seal. How to close the door forever. In Voss's notes, I found a passage, the seal requires sacrifice. Blood. Life. Death. The door opened because I gave it death. It will only close if it receives life. What did that mean? Life? Did the door need someone to willingly enter it? To sacrifice themselves? I kept reading. The 13 are anchors. They hold the door open from the inside. If they could be convinced to let go, to stop fighting their fate, the door might close on its own. But they're consumed by rage and hunger. They'll never let go willingly. Unless. What if some of them did? What if Thomas could convince enough of the others? If the majority let go, would that be enough to close the door? My phone buzzed. Thomas, I heard them talking. Some want to end this. But not all. Sarah, Marcus, and Jennifer refuse. They've been monsters too long. They like what they are now. I texted back, how many would let go if they could? 7 of us. Maybe 8. Thomas, James, David, Patricia, Robert, William, and Helen. Elizabeth is undecided. Is that enough to close the door? I don't know. But it's worth trying. I looked at Voss's notes again. There was a ritual. A way to release the anchors. It required the Guardian to enter the room. To face the door. To speak the words that would give them permission to let go. It was dangerous. If I entered room 342, the others could kill me. Sarah, Marcus, Jennifer. They'd stop me before I could complete the ritual. Unless I had protection. I found another passage in the notes. The seal was created with blood and bone. It responds to the same. A guardian who willingly sheds their blood in defense of the seal becomes temporarily immune to the anchor's direct interference. They cannot touch the guardian. Cannot harm them. But the protection only lasts as long as the blood remains wet. I looked at my hand. At the pocket knife in my bag. I'd have to cut myself. Bleed under the threshold of room 342. Then enter and perform the ritual before the blood dried. I had maybe 10 minutes. Maybe less. My radio crackled. Voss's voice, you found it. The ritual of release. But Mr. Chen, you should know. If this works, if the door closes, I'll be trapped here forever. No longer able to manifest. No longer able to help. You deserve to be trapped, I said. For what you did to them. I know, Voss said quietly. I just wanted you to understand the cost. I've been trying to atone. To help. But if closing the door means I'm silenced forever, then so be it. It's less than I deserve. I gathered what I needed. The knife. A copy of the ritual words. My flashlight. My phone in case Thomas needed to contact me. It was 2:47 a.m. I had 3 hours until dawn. I had to try. I left the security office and headed for the stairs. The building was quiet. Too quiet. They knew I was coming. On the third floor, I saw them. All 13. Waiting in the hallway outside room 342. Sarah stepped forward. "You can't enter. We won't let you." Thomas moved to stand beside me. "Yes, he can. And I'll help him." James, David, and 4 others joined him. 7 on my side. 6 against. The hallway felt too small for all of us. "This is mutiny," Sarah hissed. "We could be free. We could hunt again. We could rest," James said softly. "Don't you want to rest?" "No," Sarah said. "I want to live. Even if it's like this." The 2 groups faced each other. Tension crackled in the air. Then Elizabeth, the undecided one, moved. She stepped toward Thomas. Toward me. "I'm tired too," she whispered. "So tired." 8 on my side. 5 against. Sarah screamed and lunged. But Thomas and the others intercepted her. They grappled in the hallway. Supernatural creatures fighting each other. Tearing. Clawing. I ran for room 342. Marcus broke free from the group and chased me. I could hear his footsteps. Feel his breath on my neck. I reached the room. The red door waited. I pulled out my knife. Cut across my palm. Deep. Blood welled up. I pressed my bleeding hand against the doorframe. The blood sizzled. Smoked. And the door glowed. Marcus skidded to a halt. He couldn't touch me. The protection was active. I stepped into the room. Behind me, the fighting continued. I had to hurry. I stood before the red door. Up close, I could see faces in the paint. Screaming. Suffering. The 13. And others. Hundreds of others. All trapped. Feeding the entity's hunger. I opened the paper with the ritual words. My hand was shaking. Blood dripped onto the floor. I began to read, "By blood and bone, by choice and sacrifice, I call to those who wish to rest. Who wish to end their suffering. Let go. Release your hold. Accept the peace of true death." The door shuddered. Behind it, I heard the entity roar. It didn't want them to leave. Didn't want to lose its anchors. "Let go," I repeated. "You are released. You are forgiven. Rest now." In the hallway, Thomas screamed. Not in pain. In relief. His form began to dissolve. Becoming light. Becoming nothing. James followed. Then David. Patricia. Robert. William. Helen. Elizabeth. 8 of them. Letting go. Accepting release. The door began to close. Slowly. The entity shrieked. The building shook. Sarah, Marcus, Jennifer, and the remaining 2 burst into the room. They could touch me now. The protection had worn off. My blood had dried. They grabbed me. Pulled me toward the door. "If we can't be free, you'll take our place," Sarah snarled. "You'll be the new anchor. The new guardian. Forever." I struggled. But they were too strong. Then Boss appeared. Between me and the door. "No," he said. "I brought them here. I made them into this. If anyone takes their place, it should be me." He turned to Sarah. "You want revenge? Here I am. The man who destroyed your life. Take me instead." Sarah hesitated. "You're already dead. Already trapped. We want the living." "Then take what's left of me," Voss said. "My ghost. My essence. Whatever remains. Use it to keep the door open. But let him go. He's innocent." The 5 remaining anchors looked at each other. Then Sarah smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Deal." They released me. Grabbed Voss. And pulled him into the door. I stumbled backward. Voss didn't scream. Didn't fight. He accepted his fate. The door slammed shut. The red paint began to bubble. To burn. The door was sealing itself. With Voss's essence replacing the 8 who had let go. I ran. Out of the room. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. I didn't stop until I was in the parking lot. Behind me, the building groaned. The 3rd floor windows exploded outward. Glass rained down. Then everything went quiet. I stood there, bleeding, shaking, until the sun rose. When it was fully light, I went back inside. Up to room 342. The door was gone. Just a blank wall. Like it had never existed. But I could feel something behind that wall. Watching. Waiting. Mrs. Hendricks arrived at 7 a.m. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. "The seal will hold," she finally said. Voss was powerful. Even in death. With him and the 5 others as anchors, the door won't open. Not for a very long time. "What about the demolition?" I asked. She smiled sadly. "I'll stop it. I have connections. Money. I'll buy the building. Preserve it. Make sure no one ever enters room 342. Or what used to be room 342. And the entity? Trapped. Unable to cross over. As long as the seal holds, it can't touch our world. I quit that day, but the story doesn't end there. For the next 6 months, I was fine. I got a new job. Started sleeping again. Tried to forget. Then the dreams started. I'd be back in the hospital. Standing in front of the red door. And I'd hear them. The 5 anchors who remained. Sarah. Marcus. Jennifer. And the 2 whose names I never learned. They'd call to me. Come back. Come visit. You owe us. You're the reason we're still trapped. And sometimes, in my dreams, I'd reach for the door handle. I'd start to open it. Then I'd wake up. Covered in sweat. But recently, the dreams have gotten worse. More real. Last week, I woke up and my hand was covered in red paint. I went to the hospital. The building is still there. Mrs. Hendricks bought it and surrounded it with a fence. Security cameras. Warning signs. But I snuck in. I had to see. I had to know. Room 342 is gone. The wall is solid. But when I pressed my ear against it, I could hear them. Scratching. Whispering. Come back. Open the door. Let us out. Please. And I could hear the entity. That vast, hungry thing. It spoke directly into my mind. 8 escaped. 5 remain. But I only need 1. 1 anchor is enough. And when that anchor finally breaks, when they give up and let go, the door will have no choice. It will open. And I will be free. I left the hospital. Haven't been back. But I can still hear them. Even now, sitting in my apartment, I can hear them calling. The wall between their world and ours is thinner than we think. And it's getting thinner. I'm telling you this story as a warning. If you ever see a building called Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital, stay away. Don't enter. Don't investigate. And whatever you do, if you find a room with a red door painted on the wall, don't touch it. Don't try to open it. Because some doors should never be opened. Some things should stay locked away in the dark. I learned that lesson. But I'm not sure how much longer the seal will hold. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder. What if the entity is already here? What if it's been here all along? Working through people. Touching the dying. Creating more anchors in different places. Different buildings. Different red doors that no one notices until it's too late. What if Blackwood was just one of many? I've started researching. Looking for patterns. Psychiatric hospitals that closed under mysterious circumstances. Buildings with sealed rooms. Reports of security guards who quit after one night. And I'm finding them. Dozens of them. All across the country. Each one with its own sealed door. Its own anchors. Its own piece of the entity waiting to break through. Maybe that's the real horror. That what happened at Blackwood wasn't unique. It was just the first one I discovered. And now I can't stop looking. Can't stop finding more. Last night, I found something that made my blood run cold. A building 15 minutes from my apartment. An old children's hospital. Closed in 1992. Reports of strange sounds. Lights in the windows. I drove past it today. Looked at the building. And on the 3rd floor, through a broken window, I saw it. A red door. Painted on a wall. Just like room 342. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to investigate. Part of me knows I should. Should try to seal the door like we sealed the one at Blackwood. But another part of me wonders. What if that's what it wants? What if I'm being drawn there? What if I'm not the hero in this story? What if I'm the next anchor? The next victim of the entity's hunger? I don't know anymore. All I know is that the world is different now. I see things I didn't see before. Shadows that move wrong. People whose eyes are just a little too dark. Doors that shouldn't be there. And I can feel it. Watching me. Waiting. The entity behind the door. It knows my name now. Knows my face. And it's patient. So very patient. It waited 37 years for us. It can wait for me. This is why I'm sharing this story. If something happens to me, if I disappear, you'll know why. And maybe, just maybe, you'll know what to do. Stay away from the red doors. Stay away from abandoned hospitals. Stay away from buildings that feel wrong. That feel hungry. And if you ever work as a night security guard, if they offer you a job that pays way too much for way too little work, think very carefully about why they can't keep anyone in that position. Because maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's something in that building that hungers. That waits. That calls. This happened to me. This is real. And it's not over. The entity is still out there. behind walls, behind doors, waiting for its chance to cross over, to consume, to spread. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know. Because we all deserve to know what's waiting in the dark places, in the forgotten buildings, behind the doors we're not supposed to open. 3 nights ago, I drove past the children's hospital again. The red door was gone. The window showed only darkness. Either someone sealed it, or something opened it. I don't know which. And I'm too afraid to find out. Because if it opened, if the door at that hospital opened, then there's another piece of the entity in our world now. Another group of anchors. Another hungry thing that used to be human. How many more are out there? How many red doors exist in how many forgotten buildings? And how long before someone opens them all? I don't have those answers. I just have my story. My warning. My truth. Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital nearly destroyed me. Nearly claimed me as its next anchor. I escaped. Barely, but I'm not free. Not really. Because now I know what's out there. What waits in the dark. And I can feel it watching me. Even now, as I write this, I can feel its attention. Cold. Hungry. Patient. The entity beyond the door doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. It only waits. And one day, maybe soon, maybe years from now, it will call to me again. And I don't know if I'll be strong enough to resist. This is my story. This is my warning. This is the truth about what happened to me at Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital. Believe it or don't. It doesn't matter. Because the red doors are real. The entity is real. And whether you believe in it or not won't matter when it finally breaks through. Stay safe. Stay away from the dark places. And whatever you do, never, ever open the red door.